The story begins in a grand mansion where Marin excitedly asks Diablo if he is ready. He feels completely overwhelmed and wonders what is happening to him. Flashing back, his previous life consists entirely of a pristine white hospital room. Unable to attend school or make friends, he spends 16 long years bedridden. As his life finally nears its end, he feels no regrets, wishing only to thank his family and apologize to them. His one and only escape from this harsh reality is the massive hit online RPG, Heroines. His final wish before dying is simply to play the game one last time. Back in the present, his heart suddenly starts racing. He abruptly snaps at Marin for not listening, prompting her to apologize and hurry away. Disoriented by the massive room, he looks into a mirror and demands to know who is staring back. She returns, very confused, and reminds him of his own identity. He is shocked to realize he has reincarnated into the game's world as the universally despised noble villain. Looking closely at her, he recognizes her as one of the main heroines. She is a sickly character who suffers from asthma and constantly wears a mask. He remembers that in the original story, he tormented her, working her to the bone every single day. He recalls how he constantly mistreated Marin, mocking her while she coughed. However, her illness is eventually cured by the game's protagonist, Folt. In the original story, she later defeats him with powerful hidden fire magic. Thinking about this terrifying fate, he completely panics. Just then, she drops an item. She frantically apologizes, but he assures her everything is fine. Despite her timid reaction, he remembers her menacing future and realizes he must change his fate. He offers to clean up the mess and tells her to rest. She refuses, but he insists. Remembering another heroine, he urgently requests a carriage. Traveling in the vehicle, he arrives at a large estate. Standing outside the gates, he feels nervous. He knows this location triggers his biggest death flag. He is stopped at the entrance and asked why he is visiting. He explains he came to see Seal. He is coldly told she is not receiving visitors. He asks when she will return, but is instead reminded of his past cruel actions. Suddenly, Seal emerges in a wheelchair. This injury is the result of his greatest sin, as he is responsible for her terrible fall in the past. She whispers to her companion, and he is firmly told that she will never see him again and that he must leave immediately. He desperately calls out to Seal, but is ordered to stand back. He begs for mercy. She stops and whispers. He is then harshly warned that he will be killed if he ever shows his face again. Afterward, he returns home. Marin welcomes him. He tells her to get some rest since it is late. She hesitantly agrees. Back in his room, he realizes he has truly resurrected as Diablo. The threat of death looms over him once again. If things remain the same, the heroines he hurt will definitely murder him. Testing his abilities, he successfully opens his status window. He is amazed that the game interface actually appears in reality. He notes that despite being universally despised, his new body is healthy. He is also born into wealth. He sees this world as a massive opportunity. He knows the original plot perfectly. The game's protagonist will eventually find the heroines he abused. The protagonist will heal their pain and win their loyalty. This chain of events will ultimately lead to his own destruction. To prevent this, he decides to cure their afflictions himself. The main problem is his dark magic attribute. It boosts offensive power immensely, but it lacks healing spells entirely. However, as a completionist, he knows a secret trick. He can unlock healing magic by aggressively leveling up his dark attribute. If he trains hard enough, he can survive. He resolves to shatter every single death flag. Imagining his brutal fate at the hands of Marin and Seal, he fully accepts his new identity. He vows to master healing magic and save his own skin. The next morning, Marin approaches him shivering. She bows deeply and thanks him for his kind words from the previous day. He is left completely confused about what he did to deserve her gratitude. Marin explains that his sudden kindness deeply touched her heart. Diablo worries about her incredibly low standards. He admits to pushing her too hard in the past but refuses to apologize with mere words. He then asks if she assembled the staff in the dining hall as requested. She confirms everyone is present. Entering the hall, he greets the shivering staff. They loudly return the greeting. Seeing their absolute terror, he loses confidence in avoiding his grim fate. Addressing the crowd, he takes full responsibility for his immaturity and the great hardships he caused. He swears to never again yell, strike them, enforce 24-hour shifts, force them to eat monster meat, or abandon them in monster nests. Internally, he is completely horrified by his own past actions. Raum steps forward, questioning if he truly means those words. He recognizes the man as the father of the young woman he previously tormented. The man's family has served the Viscounty house for generations. Although he seems completely loyal on the surface, he actually dotes on his daughter endlessly. Knowing the past abuse she suffered, it is obvious how the father truly feels. In the original story, he eventually betrays the family, joining the protagonist to condemn his cruel master. He firmly assures Raum that he is completely serious. He announces a plan to reduce their workload without cutting pay and promises to petition for a massive five-fold wage increase. The entire room is amazed by this declaration. However, he knows money alone will not change the man's deep-seated hatred. He deeply bows before him, stating that he will prove his sincerity through actions. The staff erupts in shock. The man insists that a master bowing to a subordinate is entirely improper. Despite the protests, he promises to change his ways and asks them all to watch his progress. Realizing his family is completely fed up with him and has exiled him to an annex, Diablo knows his future is grim. He visits the Duke, but is immediately told to get lost for being an eyesore. Diablo requests a five-fold wage increase for the staff as a sincere apology for his past actions. Duke is quickly dismissed and told to resolve his own atonement. Marin suddenly speaks up, defending him. She explains that he is trying very hard to turn over a new leaf and made a strict promise to the staff. Diablo then bows deeply, admitting his immaturity, but vowing to eventually become a man capable of leading the estate. He begs for an opportunity to prove himself. Unimpressed by empty promises, Duke is reminded that enrollment at the Arwen Holy Knight Academy is quickly approaching. Diablo is challenged to prove his worth before the ceremony. Accepting the challenge, he requests specialized magic training. He is granted a tutor and a training ground, along with a strict warning not to run away. Later, they stand together in front of a massive cave opening. He recognizes it as the Cave of Hypergrowth, a hidden post-game area. Inside, fatigue accumulates 5 times faster, but experience points are also multiplied by 5. He is completely shocked to find such a powerful location right on the estate. Diablo stares at the cave, wishing he had trained here sooner. Maron worries, urging him not to push himself too hard, but he remains steadfast in his goal to master healing magic. When she questions the feasibility of learning healing spells with his dark affinity, he firmly declares that he will acquire the skill, no matter the cost. His determination clearly touches her heart. Suddenly, a figure appears in the trees. Alcor, a dangerous harbinger of death, and an endgame boss, mocks them. He recognizes her immediately and realizes his survival is at risk before he even reaches the climax of the story. She insults him, calling him a snot-nosed brat, and announces herself as his new tutor. When he asks for an explanation, she aggressively silences him. She quickly brushes off her threatening demeanor as a joke, but then delivers a grim requirement. Diablo must train to the brink of death before enrollment, with no room for complaints. He accepts the harsh terms. When she asks for his goals, he shocks her by declaring his intention to reach level 10 in dark magic. A feat she admits is nearly impossible, as she has only reached level 9. Amused by his ambition, she demands he address her as master and begins a grueling physical regimen. While the training is pure agony, he finds a strange sense of joy in the effort, a stark contrast to his past life as a burden. Finally, they transition to studying magic. He interrupts to point out that the textbooks contain absolutely no information on healing magic. 3 weeks into his training, Diablo assumes things are progressing smoothly with standard physical exercises. However, during a set of push-ups, he is forced to narrowly dodge a massive boulder. Alcor laughs at his panic, proving she is legitimately trying to kill him. Over the remaining days, he survives falling into pit traps, battling powerful monsters, and enduring relentless attacks as the enrollment ceremony draws near. Marin arrives to deliver refreshments. Seeing the arrival, Alcor calls for a break. Checking his stats, he is thrilled to realize he has already unlocked level 9. He excitedly shares the progress with Marin. She is amazed that he reached it so quickly and confirms his dedication to reaching level 10 to learn healing magic. He explains that while dark magic is traditionally for offense, unlocking level 10 theoretically allows a dark magic user to heal. Overhearing this, Alcor mocks the idea. She casually strikes the ground, creating a massive blast that summons a towering golem. She explains that since level 10 is theoretically impossible, the only way to reach it is from the brink of death. The golem immediately charges. He orders Marin to get back while frantically dodging the creature's massive punches. Watching from the sidelines, she begs for the training to stop. Unfazed, Alcor points out that he is successfully dodging every strike and orders him to counterattack. Diablo panics, realizing he has absolutely no combat experience. Facing the deadly attack, he desperately wonders if he is truly going to die a second time. Flashing back to his miserable days in the hospital, he refuses to accept this fate. Deciding he cannot afford to die, he clenches his fist and delivers a massive punch to the golem. The force of the blow causes the creature to crack. Refusing to let his story end here, he strikes it again, completely shattering the massive stone monster. Marin watches the explosion in absolute shock, while Alcor simply smiles at the destructive display. Thrilled by his survival, he immediately checks his status window. He is overjoyed to see he has finally unlocked level 10 in dark magic. Impressed, Alcor admits that he actually pulled off the impossible. However, he knows the real challenge is just beginning. He firmly swears to master healing magic and cure everyone he wronged. Meanwhile, Seal stares out her mansion window. She is interrupted and asked if something is the matter. She inquires if Diablo has visited recently. Upon hearing that he has not, she bitterly remarks that people truly do not change. Having unlocked level 10, he immediately attempts healing magic. Alcor notes that despite darkness being known for offense, the healing works perfectly. His entire body shines. He realizes it feels as soothing as a hot bath, completely erasing his fatigue and filling him with energy. He rejoices that his painfully bruised body is fully restored from the relentless beatings. She playfully apologizes for the damage, claiming she told him not to resist. He reflects that while reaching this level was just a matter of grinding experience points in the game, reality proved incredibly tough. He then calls out to Marin to finally cure her illness. Noticing her absence, he asks where she went. Alcor explains that she returned to the mansion to fetch medical supplies for his injuries, which he finds ironic since he is the one performing the healing. Back at the estate, Raum walks down the hall and overhears a highly compromising conversation. He hears Marin asking if he is mentally prepared, nervously stating it is her first time. He replies that it is his first time as well. Bursting into the room, Raum demands to know what they are doing. He finds the two of them simply standing there. Shocked by the sudden intrusion, she explains that he is finally going to cure her illness, having trained incredibly hard every single day just for her sake. Refusing to listen, Raum demands he leave her alone and protectively pushes her behind his back. He attempts to explain, but she interjects, demanding to know how he could speak so harshly to someone who worked so hard for her. Raum passionately declares that she means everything to him. He confesses that his service to the family is not merely out of loyalty, but for her well-being. He admits that despite previously bowing his head to him, he secretly despised him for the cruel past treatment imposed upon her. Fully believing she was still being tortured, Raum threatens that if his daughter is harmed any further, he is fully prepared to take Diablo down with him. Realizing the hostility has worsened, he still desperately wants to treat Marin. Suddenly, he notices Raum is suffering from a frozen shoulder. Seizing the opportunity to prove his abilities, he immediately uses his darkness healing on the shoulder. The effect is instantaneous, fully restoring mobility to the arm. Astonished by the dark attribute healing magic, Raum asks if it can truly cure her as well. Diablo confirms that he absolutely will. Convinced, Raum steps aside and entrusts her to him. He extends his hand and immediately uses the healing magic on her. Feeling the powerful effects, her mask falls away. She excitedly begins to run. Alarmed, Raum warns her not to trigger an attack, but she happily announces that she can run and breathe perfectly fine. Her illness is completely cured. Moved to tears, Raum deeply apologizes for his past insolence and pledges to atone by continuing his service. Smiling, Diablo graciously accepts the apology and advises him not to overwork his newly healed shoulder. Watching the happy scene, she reflects that her past nightmares are finally over. She realizes he has truly turned over a new leaf, shifting from a cruel master to someone she deeply admires. Both of them vow to accompany and serve him. Later, they arrive at Seal's estate. He is immediately stopped at the entrance and scolded for having the shamelessness to return. Unfazed, he firmly declares that he will absolutely have a word with her today. Suddenly, a powerful tremor shakes the ground. Trees crack and splinter, nearly crushing Marin, but Diablo swiftly pulls her to safety. Witnessing the rescue, Raum is left in absolute disbelief. The violent destruction is actually caused by Seal, whose intense anger manifests as raw magic, shattering the surrounding windows. He is harshly berated for his past actions and asked if he finally understands her immense pain. Marin frantically defends him, insisting he genuinely wishes to heal the injuries. However, the plea is rejected, and he is accused of treating the trauma like a passing whim. Realizing this is yet another major narrative crisis, he desperately wonders how to resolve it. Watching from the trees above, Alcor is highly amused by the unfolding drama. Retreating to a quiet area, Marin apologizes for holding him back, but he is simply relieved she is safe. Raum expresses deep gratitude for the rescue. Meanwhile, Seal stares out her window, recalling a tragic memory. In the past, she received a beautiful necklace to celebrate her arranged marriage. She excitedly hoped to build a happy life with Diablo. However, upon meeting him, he violently snatched the jewelry and tore it away. When she pleaded with him to be careful, he viciously silenced her. This cruel encounter culminated in the terrible fall that left her bound to a wheelchair. Following the tragedy, his family attempted to settle the matter with massive amounts of money. The financial compensation was angrily rejected, accompanied by furious demands that he face the consequences directly. Back in the present, Seal desperately asks if he has come to visit. Upon hearing he has not, she breaks down in tears. In deep denial, she completely convinces herself that he is simply taking a long time to find and return her precious necklace. Marin informs Diablo that returning the necklace is the perfect pretext to reconcile with Seal. He recalls that she mentioned the heirloom during a past event, and he determines the location is the mountain behind the estate. Marin suggests that she and Ram join the search, but he insists on going alone. He realizes that healing her physical injuries is not enough. He must also save her mind from the trauma he caused. Ram agrees to wait behind to help repair the damage done to the estate. He heads to the mountain to search for the lost heirloom. As he wanders, he grows frustrated that everything looks identical. He worries that after all this time, the necklace might be lost forever or buried in a spot he cannot reach. Just as he prepares to give up, he spots something shiny. He wonders if his luck is finally changing, but he is interrupted by Alcor. She explains that the reason the necklace hasn't been found is that neither humans nor beasts dare to enter this area. She warns him that the conditions suggest the location is either a barren wasteland or something far more dangerous. Before he can react, he feels a presence behind him. Turning around, he is met by a massive, terrifying dragon. Realizing the danger he is in, he concludes that he is truly about to die this time. Visibly tense, Diablo realizes the situation is incredibly dangerous and knows he must escape. However, he notices his hand is empty. Looking up, he sees the necklace tightly gripped in the claws of a massive bird monster. He wonders how things went so wrong. Meanwhile, outside Seal's mansion, Marin wonders aloud if he is truly okay on his own. Remembering the recent rescue, Raum notes that the young lord proves people can change. He expresses absolute confidence that the boy will save her as well. Back at the mountain, Alcor watches from above. She is confused by his hesitation, noting that the bird is a much lower rank than the golem he previously defeated. She recalls that while unlocking level 10, he learned several attack spells. She hopes he did not completely forget them just because he was solely focused on recovery magic. Down below, he breathes heavily. He knows he has no choice but to fight to retrieve the heirloom, yet he completely panics because he cannot remember any attack magic. As the creature charges, he instinctively uses magic to push it away. Staring at his hands, he is thrilled to realize his body remembers the training, even if his mind is blank. Suddenly, the bird flaps its wings fiercely, forming a massive cyclone. He realizes fighting is pointless if he cannot land a hit, but he successfully manages to snatch the necklace back. Believing his mission is complete, he decides there is no reason to stay. Observing this, Alcor thinks it is incredibly foolish to turn his back on a monster inside its own territory. As he attempts to leave, the creature attacks from behind. He spins around just in time, clenching his fist. Refusing to accept being killed by a random beast, he unleashes a burst of dark magic. He immediately panics, realizing he accidentally cast a recovery spell instead of an attack. However, the bird looks visibly shocked and damaged by the blast. Seeing an opening, he recalls his master's lessons. He concentrates his consciousness to his fingertips and releases his energy. Extending his hand, a powerful glow emerges and blasts the creature, instantly banishing it. Relieved, he reflects that he managed to win, but assumes his master would definitely laugh at his clumsy performance. High above in the trees, she is in fact laughing heartily. Returning to Seal's mansion, Diablo is greeted by Marin, who is horrified to see him covered in wounds and mud. She fiercely vows to punish whoever hurt him, but he laughs it off, claiming he simply fell down. He then reveals the recovered necklace. Overjoyed that he is safe, she guides him to the young lady's quarters. Inside her room, Seal is highly irritated, complaining about a missing childhood pillow. Suddenly, she spots him standing before her. Shocked and furious, she clenches her teeth, creating a dangerously tense atmosphere. Before the situation can escalate, Marin steps forward and presents the shining necklace. She explains that he risked his life to find the precious heirloom. Seal is stunned to realize he went to such dangerous lengths for her sake. Given the chance to speak, he humbly asks for permission to treat her injured leg. Marin hesitates, gently reminding him that the paralysis is considered permanent. Suddenly, Raum intervenes. He reminds her that his own daughter recently suffered from an incurable disease. He explains that the young lord desperately learned recovery magic solely to save her, and he pleads with her to believe in him. Emboldened by the support, Diablo firmly promises to heal her leg as well. After a tense moment of thought, she finally relents and tells him to do as he pleases. Diablo accepts the harsh words, acknowledging that he selfishly took away her mobility. Marin tries to defend him, insisting he has truly been reborn, but he calmly stops her, admitting his past faults. He approaches Seal, thanking her for the chance at atonement. Kneeling down, he places a hand on her knee and unleashes his dark healing magic. Instantly, the natural sensation returns to her legs. Completely shocked, she slowly stands up from her wheelchair. Overwhelmed, she asks him what he just did. Looking deeply into her eyes, he simply and sincerely apologizes. She realizes what a foolish man he is, noting that she never truly needed recovery magic or the necklace. Those few sincere words were all it took to reach her heart. He promises not to ask for immediate forgiveness, vowing to continuously face her with his whole heart from now on. He hopes that someday she will acknowledge his efforts and forgive him. Holding his hand, she admits she cannot help but acknowledge him after all this. She officially accepts his apology and the necklace, forgiving him completely. She asks if he will walk with her again from the beginning, and he happily agrees. Later, outside the mansion, they prepare to depart. Marin tightly holds onto his arm, proudly stating she always believed he would resolve the situation. He gets flustered and tells her to let go, awkwardly asking Raum for help. The older man simply laughs at the comedic scene. Meanwhile, watching from the window above, Ciel speaks to her teacher, curiously wondering about the exact nature of the relationship between him and his loyal servant. Later, Alcor meets with the Duke at the mansion. He mentions that Diablo has reinstated his engagement contract with Ciel. She notes she was right there on the scene to witness it. The Duke admits he previously believed people could not change, but he has no choice but to acknowledge his son's reformation. Pointing out that the brat is enrolling in the academy in 6 months, he asks her to look after him for the remaining 3 months. Amused, she considers enrolling as well. Back at the training cave, he confidently assumes he can now use various darkness attack spells. Alcor reminds him that mastering spells is meaningless if he cannot defeat enemies on a real battlefield. Marin arrives, formally addressing her new master. Remembering that the young girl possesses a fire attribute, the master asks for a demonstration. She blasts a massive wave of fire. Thrilled, the master realizes she is hiding incredible talent, while he nervously hopes she does not awaken too much destructive power. He is surprised she suddenly wants to enroll at the academy as well. She explains that the Duke generously permitted her to take the entrance exam, wanting her to rely on her own attribute magic rather than just serving the family. Suddenly, a violent tremor shakes the earth. Ciel arrives, proudly declaring that her attributeless magic will also be highly reliable. Claiming her future role as his wife, she vows to share all of life's joys and sorrows with him for a lifetime. With a tight smile, Marin asks her to leave his care to her. Ciel quickly fires back that she cannot leave her future husband in the care of a complete stranger. Witnessing the fierce rivalry, he completely panics, realizing yet another dangerous narrative development is unfolding. Watching from the sidelines, Alcor simply laughs, thrilled that the attributeless girl is also hiding wonderful talent. Having successfully avoided the execution flags for both of them, it is decided that the three will train together under the Harbinger of Death. He already knew their abilities were incredible, but he forces himself to train from morning until night just to keep up. Realizing common sense does not apply in this world and the danger of death is always lurking, he vows to become much stronger to avoid dying from something other than an execution flag. 6 months later, the three of them finally stand together in front of the academy gates. Ciel notices Diablo is visibly tense and asks if something is wrong. He initially denies it but quickly confesses his overwhelming anxiety. Marin finds his inability to lie endearing, while Ciel is simply relieved he is not staring at other women. He nervously points out that the entrance exam is in the afternoon. She reminds him that high-ranking nobles are entirely exempt from the testing process. When asked why he chose to take the general admission exam, he hides his true motive of wanting to make a good impression. Instead, he smoothly claims he simply wanted to enroll together with both of them. This romantic excuse instantly melts their hearts. Suddenly, 2 upperclassmen interrupt, mocking him for arriving with a harem and demanding an introduction. Marin turns around with a menacing glare, giving them exactly 2 seconds to get lost. Terrified, they immediately flee the scene. Next, a fierce instructor approaches, aggressively slamming her weapon onto the ground. She demands to know why a famously corrupt noble is taking the general exam, strictly warning him that he will receive no preferential treatment at the academy. Outraged by the casual disrespect, Ciel fiercely defends her future husband, while Marin coldly threatens to turn the insolent woman into charcoal. Realizing this aggressive woman is actually a teacher evaluating the new students on their very first day, he completely panics. He is left utterly terrified, feeling his academy life is over before it even begins.
Here I am.